Welcome to the Art of Money podcast with Art McPherson.
And thanks for checking out the Art of Money podcast. My name is Mark Owens alongside Art McPherson and Luke McCarty. All the information for the McPherson Financial Group, you can find it at theartofmoneyradio.com. Gentlemen, there was a story in Forbes that points out the need for tax planning. It doesn't end just because you're no longer working. So what are some of the common tax mistakes that you see retirees and pre-retirees make?
I think the first one and the most common is, assuming your taxes will be lower in retirement. Maybe on paper, what you think you're making from your job. Let's say you've been making $100,000 a year and you're contributing to the 401k, you're paying your insurance, you're paying your taxes. You may see, $4,000 or $5,000 a month. Well, in retirement, you're now pulling from that nest egg and you could maybe get the 4 or 5K a month plus more. So one of the common mistakes is, I'm going to be in a lower tax bracket later. I'm going to spend less money later. And I always say, how are you going to spend less money when you have more free time? Right? That's my always go-to. Like, you're going to spend money because what else are you going to do? Everything costs money.
One of the things that we have also done, Mark, since you brought this one up with Forbes, Luke and I are both Forbes Council members. Mm-hmm. And what that means is we're part of kind of their roundtable discussions. They'll ask some experts in the industry, things like that, and we can have input on some of their discussions. Well, Luke and I have both sent in this month 2 articles that'll, after they're critiqued, probably should go out this month for Forbes. So we're working on some things with Forbes. We love Forbes, and they're a really big part of, the financial planning world and a resource for a lot of clients.
And Luke, you mentioned it, that a lot of people say that in retirement, I forget that I got to pay taxes. How did that begin? Like, it seems like such common sense, but why do so many retirees go, oh yeah, that was something I didn't even think about? Where did that come from?
I don't know if it came from somewhere specifically, but people just think the money they have saved is all theirs. They've saved it for 30 or 40 years and it's mine. Well, if it's in a 401k or an IRA or 403b, any deferred tax savings vehicle, only about 2/3 of it is yours and the other third's going to taxes, of course, depending where you live. So, even my dad's a good example. He has a pension and they take taxes out of it. He added my mom to the pension. They take more money out of it. He has an IRA. We pay taxes on it. So, everything you have can potentially be taxed. And that's one of the reasons why we hired Mark Bernard, our CPA here at McPherson Financial Group. And Art and I have been doing it before Mark, but now he's the expert, is how do we reduce the tax liability for our clients?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want to have 3 buckets of money at all possible. We talk about that in our book. Nothing is certain but death and taxes until now. And the reason we wrote about that is having strategies around tax planning. Because when you go to the CPA for this April 15th, which is actually April 18th because of the way the 15th falls, he's doing a return for you. That's not tax planning. That's just doing your return, making sure your 1099s, all your K1s, all those things are done properly and they're filed correctly so that you're paying the proper amount of tax. Any write-offs or deductions that you have, that all of that is done correctly. Well, tax planning can make a huge difference on what you buy, what you sell, how you position money, how you pull income over the next 4 or 5 years. Matter of fact, one of my articles that I did in Forbes this month is talking about, should I consider a Roth conversion? So this is one of the things that is on the docket that Biden has said he wants to remove. If he can get some tax change and tax reform done this year, hope he's not able to, but he has talked about taking that away as a tool. So usually if the government wants to take it away, it's probably in your best interest to do some research on it.
Mm-hmm. The book is called Nothing is Certain But Death and Taxes Until Now. There is a chapter available online at artofmoneyradio.com. But when you schedule that complimentary consultation with Art McPherson or Luke McCarty, they'll give you a copy of the book as well. 321-425-8550. That's how you schedule that complimentary income plan. They're going to sit down with you and personally build a plan or look at your plan to see what adjustments need to be made at no cost or no obligation to you. And outside of a tax strategy, Art, Luke, I'm sure something you'll talk about is long-term care, because the latest life expectancy numbers show Americans are living longer. And the street's Robert Powell tells us long-term care can be very expensive.
In a recent article in Retirement Daily, financial advisor Ken Walter outlines the many ways you can pay for long-term care. The sources include financial assets, your home, annuities, second to die life insurance, and long-term care insurance. Bottom line, long-term care costs can be substantial, but if planned for and managed intelligently, don't need to bankrupt or frighten you.
All right, tell me some of these options that don't break the bank when it comes to long-term care.
Sure. So your traditional long-term care is where you pay it every month or every year for your whole life. It's the use it or lose it, kind of like all other insurance except for life insurance. Kind of use it or lose it. But those premiums can go up over time. And that's the concern with traditional long-term care. We use life insurance where you can either pay more up front and then not pay anymore after that, like a 5-pay or a 10-pay. You do have options to continue to pay that life insurance for the rest of your life, but it's kind of guaranteed, it's permanent. There's also another version where you can do a term life insurance. So in the world of insurance, the more you have guaranteed, and if it's permanent, the more expensive it is because the insurance company is on the hook for the death benefit, right? The term insurance, they're not on the hook for it unless you die during that term. Well, we have a product here where it's term, but it also has long-term care in it. So you can get, $250,000 or $500,000 term policy where, it's fairly cheap, $50 to $100 a month, nothing crazy. But if you need long-term care, you can access the death benefit for long-term care. So there's several different ways to get long-term care insurance. And the main thing is you need to look at it and you need to have a plan, whether your plan is to pay for it out of pocket or self-pay or get on Medicaid. I mean, there's plans for everything. Just make sure you address that.
Art McPherson, is long-term care something that maybe isn't top of mind when we start putting that plan together? It almost seems like, hey, I want to make sure that I don't run out of money in retirement, and the long-term care kind of gets pushed down the list.
Yes. First priority always when people are retiring is like, okay, Art, this is more money than I've ever had in my entire life. I've been saving it for 25, 30, 35 years. A lot of people will walk away with $1 to $3 million right now in their 401ks. And they don't know what to do, how to place it, how to invest it to avoid a 40 or 50% correction when the market goes south. And then how do I place this money? How do I place these funds to go for my whole retirement? So long-term care is kind of like on the back burner at that point. But when we have clients come in here, when we solve those problems for them and we go, here's what you are, here's your income, you guys are ready to retire whenever you're ready. And this is your income amount. This is coordinating with Social Security. This is going to be taxable. This is going to be tax-free. And we go through those steps. Then we start moving on to the other things like, here's what happens if you have a long-term care event. Most of our clients typically don't have long-term care events until their 80s, kind of hit the 80 frame. But you've got to prepare in your early 60s or even earlier to try to get the costs down for those type of events. So if we can prepare when they're 55 or 60 or 65, it's a whole lot better than trying to wait till you're 80 to come up with a solution.
Yeah. This weekend, that complimentary consultation involves that conversation about long-term care, about your tax strategy. But to take advantage of it, you need to give the team a call, 321-425-8550. Always online at artofmoneyradio.com. If you can't make the call, just go to the website, couple of pieces of information. One of the great team members from the McPherson Financial Group will reach out to you. Again, artofmoneyradio.com. And Art, I think we have your new favorite celebrity of all time. And his name is Shaquille O'Neal. The retired NBA star is showing some tough love when it comes to his adult kids. And he says, I'm rich, but I'm not giving my money away.
My kids are older now, and they're kind of upset with me. Not really upset, but they don't understand. Because I tell them all the time, we ain't rich. I'm rich. Yeah, we don't. No, you got to have bachelor's or master's, and then if you want me to invest in one of your companies, you're going to have to present it. Boom, boom, boom. Bring it to me. I'll let you know. I'm not giving you nothing.
I love that. Oh, I love that. He is awesome. I wish I had that line 10, 15 years ago. That is great. Shaq is so level-headed. I love him. That is, a little bit of tough love parenting there. Make your kids earn it. And there's nothing wrong with goals. There's nothing wrong with setting those type of goals. He has earned everything he has made. He became one of the best centers of all time in the NBA. He's one of the top 50 players of all time. And it's fun to watch him do a little bit of tough love with his children.
We ain't rich. I'm rich.
I love that. That is such a great line.
Yeah.
How often is that? Do you have a lot of clients that do that say, like, look, I've done very well for myself, but when I pass or whatever, I'm not giving it all to the family?
No, usually it's the opposite side. The parents do too much, and they give too much of their retirement money to the kids when the kids really have other resources and other ways they can solve the problem. But they'll just go to mom and dad and say, hey, can we have $50,000 for X, Y, or Z? And then the parents are like, oh, okay. And they'll literally go borrow the money, or they'll withdraw it from their 401k. And we've had examples of this before they became clients of ours, and they've pulled the money out, and then just about the time after they've helped their kids do whatever they're going to do, and they're just getting their nice little IRS notice that says, hey, by the way, you took that $50,000 out. We withheld 20% for you, but you owe another $15,000 because you didn't pay enough tax. And oh, by the way, you have a 50% penalty on that because you weren't 59.5, and you owe another $5,000 tax. Just about the time they're getting that tax bill, the kids drive up in a car they know they can't afford. And they just go, ugh. So it's usually the opposite of that. So parents are too giving, too loving. So that's why it makes me laugh at Shaq's version of that, because that tough love, we see that sometimes you just have to say the bank of mom and dad are now closed. We are retired, and now it's time for you to step up and be able to take care of yourself.
Yeah, Dave Ramsey always says, if you're giving a loan to family, assume you're not getting paid back and just make it a gift.
Yep.
Right? Don't think the kids are going to pay you back. They may, but in our experience, it's very slow over time until it stops being talked about. So, if you're giving your kid $20,000, $30,000 or, $100,000 so they can avoid PMI on their first house, to avoid that, private mortgage insurance, well, that's a lot of money you're giving up out of your retirement when your kid could have a really good job. I mean, we have kids that are making more money than their parents, and parents are still giving them money. So I think Art's right. Most of our clients have the opposite issue. And then, the clients that are, really high net worth, we work on creating legacy plans for them. I'm sure Shaq has a legacy plan. He's just being tough and wants his kids to, excel and be productive.
Yeah.
Well, and also, I love the fact he's like, hey, if you want me to invest in your business or you want me getting involved, you better present it to me. You better come to the table and have done your due diligence, because I'm going to be like, nope, not investing. I love that. I just think that's great. There's no handouts in the Shaq family. I love that.
Thanks for listening. Want more from Art McPherson of McPherson Financial Group? Find us online at artofmoneyradio.com. We are an independent financial services firm helping individuals create retirement strategies using a variety of financial and insurance products to custom suit their needs and objectives. Securities offered through World Equity Group, Inc., member FINRA and SIPC, a registered investment advisor. Investment advisory services offered through ProStatus Group, LLC. McPherson Financial Group and ProStatus Group, LLC are separate entities and are not owned or controlled by World Equity Group, Inc. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell any financial vehicle. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. Investment financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. Art McPherson is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Please consult with your attorney, accountant, and or tax advisor for advice concerning your particular circumstances. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Arthur McPherson. Florida Insurance License number A174725.
Today's show has been a work of art.